Fable is old news on the PC, and it suffered, like many of Peter Molyneux's games, from too much hype when it was released for the Xbox originally. The expectations these days, I think, are a little more realistic for the PC release. For those of you who don't know, Fable is a game where your character changes to suit the way you play. Basically, if you spend a lot of time fighting, you're going to get better at fighting, and your character is going to look like a fighter. Spend a lot of time using magic, you'll get better at that, and your character will take on a visual aspect to reflect that choice. You'll also find that your character is going to change based on some of the moral decisions you make. And this is where Fable's really great. The world really responds to the choices you make. You get a really good sense of consequence for your action. And there are lots of opportunities to be good or evil too, which is great. There's not a lot of subtlety in them, of course. You're rarely presented with an unclear choice. And like most games, it's clear that you can be a good guy as long as the people that you're murdering happen to be evil. Now, Fable has a great interface on the PC. The mouse control and the WASD sort of movement scheme really work well for this game. Unfortunately, though, there are some context-sensitive actions that get in the way of each other. Well, basically what you have are a lot of different actions bound to the same keys. So depending on where you're at in the world, you're going to do a certain action, which can make it hard to sort of save up the actions that you need for an appropriate time. Fable, of course, has great world design. That's no surprise to anybody who's seen the game on the Xbox. The levels are fantastic in appearance. They're a little bit linear. You feel a little bit restricted, but they're very beautiful to look at. You get a nice range of enemies, and you're going to find that the textures are much better on the PC. The game really looks brilliant on the PC. It's got a great fairy tale-like quality to it, both in the images and the personality. Now, there are some missed opportunities here. The aging concept is cool, but it really doesn't matter. And there's not much interaction in terms of finding a wife, which is supposed to be a fairly big part of the game, but it seems like a very gamey-oriented kind of mechanic. The story itself is a little limited and fairly linear. It's going to be very familiar to any fan of fantasy games. And it really exposes that there's a fine line between archetypes and cliches. One of my biggest complaints is that the missions don't actually allow you to fail. Since a game is interested in building up such a strong sense of consequence, it seems odd that it doesn't allow you to screw up a mission and have to continue and live with that failure. Now, the PC game is supposed to be a third larger than the Xbox game, but most of the content additions are side quests. You're going to encounter a new bordello, you're going to meet new fight clubs in the towns, and the fight clubs are cool because they follow a schedule. You're going to actually have to go to the fight club during the hours that it's in operation to actually discover that it's there. Now, the main story is fleshed out a little bit more. You're going to find out a little bit more about some of the characters, but you don't really get enough new information here if you've already finished the Xbox version. Basically, if you've played the Xbox version of Fable, you've had this experience already. If you haven't played the game yet, I strongly urge you to get the PC version because you are going to get a little bit more content. A dedicated gamer is going to get through the game in about 20 hours. Even so, it's 20 hours well spent.